Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, wherever you are in the world and you're watching this, thank you for being on. My name is Goose Sussi. I'm your host of the God Money Show. This is my very, very special guest and buddy, Stephen Rankin. We're gonna do a deep dive into his background, what him and his wife are working on, and just all the really cool, positive things that you guys got going on. One thing about him, he's one of the most positive people I know. Funny story, we met down in California. Our wives were in real estate. They still are in real estate, but they're in real estate, and through mutual friends they met. And then one day we got to meet, had a little barbecue at your house.
That's right.
In it was Concord, right?
August of 17.
Yeah, pretty crazy. But I just remember just clicking right away with him. Steven has a heart of gold. He just wants to help, which I love about him. He's the same every time I see him, and I think that's such a genuine characteristic about you. And I love being around you, and we snowboard together, we play basketball together.
That's right.
I'm excited for them just to kind of get to see who you are. They are transplants from California, like most of Idaho at the moment. But what's amazing is they actually, it was a dream in the works for a while.
Oh yeah, long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, literally since I got a letter from Boise State to play football back in 2005.
So here on this channel, we talk about business, investments, money, and God money. We will get into a God money story at the end. It's just super important for us to shine light on the fact that normal people who believe in God can run successful businesses. And you don't have to be a complete stranger or weirdo about it. You can literally just continue to love on people, don't put people out, focus on very practical business principles, and just using your heart to help navigate that. And it's amazing what you can do as a team. We're gonna jump into it. The very first question we've got right now is just going to be a little bit about who you are. I know who you are, but actually I wanna know you deeper. How your family unit was raised, and kind of what money was talked about, if it even was talked about when you were growing up.
Yeah.
So.
Great. Well, I was born in Seattle, Washington,
Okay.
August of 1987, and my mother and father are immigrants from Ireland. They came over. They wanted to find a similar climate to the Irish, culture and the Irish, demographic and that geographical area of the world. And in doing so, they landed on Seattle. My dad had a dream to pursue, education through University of Washington, within business and business marketing, I think specifically. Went through college, and I was born just before his graduation. So I was there. I was actually
You're the oldest.
I am the oldest.
Okay.
I was there. And
that's cool.
yeah, I'm the oldest. It's me and my sister. I have a younger sister. She's 4 years younger than me. It's been a wild journey. Since that time, we have lived all over America. So that sort of free spirit. And
where are some of the places?
so we moved from Seattle to Los Angeles. From there, we went to Atlanta, Chicago, Kansas City, and then out to the Bay Area. By the time I was 11.
Just kind of touched it all.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's very similar to a military lifestyle.
Yeah.
Which I got all the time whenever I mention that story. It's, oh, military? It's
Yeah.
like, no, not quite. It's the same lifestyle in
Yeah.
a sense, which I welcomed. At times, of course, it was difficult. You've been uprooted or relocated. You got a group of friends, and you got a community that you love and cherish, and all of a sudden you're gone.
Mm-hmm.
So in that regard, being a transplant from California, it was a natural thing for me to be able to have that adventurous spirit and to be able to trust into what's ahead.
I love that.
Yeah.
So what took you guys to place? Like, why
As a
did you
family?
move? Yeah. Like, why did you move so much?
It was my dad's job, actually.
Okay. Same job?
Same company.
Okay.
Different positions within the company.
Okay.
So every time that he was promoted, he was offered a relocation. So he's in the shipping business.
Okay.
And what he had done, getting out of college was align himself with actually a job fair with a shipping company that was growing, and he saw stability in, because there's going to be always exports and imports from the country for food and for merchandise and etc. So he came on board with a company known as American President Lines, APL, and grew significantly from within the company over 20 years.
Wow.
Or more, a little more. So yeah, even since the time that I've lived, when I was living in California, they had relocated out to Arizona, spent 4 years in Arizona, and then now are back in the Bay Area. So it's a never-ending journey.
So they're still on the move.
Now they're settled. Yeah.
Okay.
Now they're ready to go. In fact, I think in the next couple of years they'll be looking at retirement. So
yeah, good for them.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What did granddad do? What did his dad do?
Ran a hotel.
He did.
On the beach of Ireland, on the west coast of Ireland, ran a hotel. Yeah.
Okay.
And was very involved with the local golf club. Okay. So that was like.
Steve was a great golfer, by the way.
Thanks, guys. Thank you. I do love golf, and there's times where I count my blessings that I feel like my grandpa is there on the golf course with me.
I love that.
First time I ever rode on a golf cart or was on a golf course was with my grandpa and my dad.
That's so cool.
And it was very humbling. So
I love that you have that still.
Oh yeah, he let me drive the golf cart.
Oh, that's
yeah,
so
absolutely,
cool.
Yeah.
Guys, moved around a whole bunch, and then growing up, like when you were watching dad like uproot the family, right?
Yeah.
Did you? And I heard you said it earlier. Why was that such a positive experience for you?
I'm the type of person now, as I reflect back on it now, I can literally speak to or talk to anybody. Very adaptable in this sense. There has to be a silver lining with anything if you're willing to look for it.
Love it.
And I did have a rougher time moving from Kansas, where again you're fifth grade and feel like you're ready to go, but when the question comes up, when you start asking your family, as your friends here in the local community are talking like, well, I'm gonna go to this high school, and because it's spread out, community spread out, I'm gonna go to this high school, and you ask your mom like, Mom, what high school am I gonna go to? And she goes, honey, I don't know.
Wow.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, I ended up going to high school thousands of miles away. So that in that respect, it was a change. Every so often it was a change, but it definitely helped me grow in the ability to communicate with anybody. So through different stages of my life, I've recognized that I've utilized it in different ways, and I've also bottled it in other ways too, because it can be a little much sometimes for some people. But yeah, there's few people that I can't hold a conversation with in that sense.
Growing up, we didn't really have much money, but I feel like I got so much life experience that you can't put a price tag on it. Yeah. And that was the one thing that my parents passed down to me. We moved 16 times before I got to college.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. And so moving to me was like, we've been here for 13, 14 months now, where are we going to go? You know what I mean? Like it kind of got to that, but same thing, like there's the only person I haven't been able to talk to like from the get was my wife. Wow. And I was just so nervous. I really was. I was so nervous to talk to her. She's so pretty and totally out of my league, but literally, like I can go anywhere I want, very similar to you.
Yeah, you very much are the same. Just cut from the same cloth,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And what you have that, I don't know, makes you such a joy to be around is your likability factor.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, no, seriously. Like, and I know it sounds like I'm just like saying all this, but seriously though, like you literally have like your smile, you just make people feel welcome.
I appreciate it.
And I've been with you in different arenas and different environments. Yeah. And it's the same every time. Yeah. Which I love, man. So
it's definitely one thing, and very true. You speak that well. I'm not anybody I'm not. Yeah. And that's one thing along the lessons of growing up that my dad taught me is be your own man. Yeah. Be true to who you are. And that will always and has always resonated very loudly with me. So thank you to that extent. What you just mentioned, I really appreciate that.
If you're getting anything so far, will you please put a comment down below, subscribe if you're liking this. We do want to know what you're getting from these videos. It's kind of funny. I like doing this because I want to constantly be growing. Yeah, right. Absolutely. I want to be the best I can be so that I can help anybody that wants the help, right?
Yeah. In that regard, what I've always admired and appreciated about you is the environments and the settings that you put yourself in. Quite frankly, you don't have a choice but to grow. Right. And I love that about you. You've challenged yourself, you set goals, expectations, standards, and again, you're going out and achieving it.
Thank you. I appreciate that. What did you learn about money as a child?
The first lesson I would say with money wasn't indirect value proposition lesson. It was gratitude, and where that comes in was literally if we ever went out as a family. Now we're talking from very, very young age. Like if we ever went out as a family, the first thing we do when we jump back in the car is thank you, Dad, thank you, Dad, thank you, Dad. Three of us, my mom, my sister, and I. And it was always one of us would start it. A parrot echo. Yeah. Thank you, Dad. Thank you, Dad. Thank you, Dad. Yeah. And that's where that came in because when you start reflecting on it now, looking back on it, you start looking at it, it was a matter of like, don't take this for granted. And the hard work that he puts forth every day is supporting the family in order for us to go out to dinner and to have a nice evening and to sit down and enjoy each other's company when we've all lived our own separate, existences,
right.
but come together in that moment around that table. And of course, there's definitely dinners around the family table.
Sure.
But I think when it comes to money, my first lesson was gratitude in the sense of, when something is spent, just know that someone put forth the effort for that to happen. Consistent conversations with money? No, not really.
Yeah.
I'm very blessed and very fortunate that my dad did work hard and
Sure.
put himself in a position to provide for the family,
Yeah.
which allowed us to move around the country. Where he landed in the Bay Area for the position of that was the main hub for the West Coast. The Port of Oakland was the West Coast hub. So that was a major jump for career wise, and that brought a lot of stability, more opportunity, more money. I mean, I've always appreciated my time and my friends and family and everybody who I met out in Kansas. But I've often thought, or Atlanta or Chicago for that matter. I mean, I'm still connected even now with social media to a lot of people who I knew back in Chicago when I was 4, 5, and 6.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah. And that's what's so amazing to me is I never lost track of who I was, and money at the end of the day, really, money is what helped us grow.
Would you say your family grew up more middle class?
I'd say middle class, yeah. I mean, again, not knowing the exact figures of what my dad made every year,
sure.
It's a little hard for me to say, but I would say we definitely live in a nice area.
Okay.
We didn't drive all the fancy cars. We didn't have the gigantic home in the neighborhood, which we were totally fine with.
Yeah.
Home was home.
Yeah.
But I would say, comfortably speaking, we were, maybe upper middle class to middle class.
Okay. Go through real quick just the different jobs you've had and to where you're at today. What either made you switch or what you saw opportunity in, and just kind of, because I think there's a pressure almost, especially when you look at just what our traditional education teaches, which is you're going the next step to do whatever you studied, right?
Yeah.
So I didn't graduate college. I quit college twice.
Okay.
Which, I mean, most people just do it once. I actually haven't done it once. But no, the last 3 jobs I've had, I didn't even know were jobs. Like it just
interesting.
Doors opened up. Like RV salesman, didn't know that was a job.
Oh, true. Yeah.
HVAC salesman, didn't know that was a job.
Yeah.
Brace sales guy, didn't know that was a job, right? So it's just I don't know, you go throughout life, and there's my father-in-law, he's a captain, but he knew he was going to be a pilot. Mm-hmm. That was his way out. That's what he knew he was going to do, and that's what he's done for the last 25 plus years.
Wow.
What different jobs you've done and what you took from each job to get you to where you are today.
Yeah.
So I think it's important to be learning along the way, right?
Yeah. Okay, great. So with that in mind, early, high school days, I spent a lot of time working for a sports merchandise shop locally in town that sold ball caps, jerseys, and everything under the sun regarding sports. The way I looked at it, which was pretty amazing back as a sophomore, junior, and senior in high school, is I got paid to watch Sports Center. And that was pretty sweet. But it was sales, and that's kind of what little did I know at the time, but that's kind of what sparked my inclination to be able to speak passionately about something that I believe in, something that didn't seem like it was fake.
Yeah.
So my dad's been in sales. I think that inevitably growing up, if I want a new bike, I would have to sell him on the reasons why. Like, what are the pros? What are the cons? How much is it going to cost? Or what's it going to provide for you?
Did you know that?
No.
Before, or was dad did dad help mold that in you?
Definitely. Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Because there's going to be times when you're in sales.
I love that.
Good
job, Dad.
Thank you, Dad. At the time, it was very frustrating. You can imagine, I just want a new bike, or whatever it is, or John got a new bike, or Luke got a new bike, or whoever it is. You got these situations where you it's almost keeping up with the Joneses, sort of.
Sure.
But
as
in
a kid,
in a child's standpoint. So in terms of that, he taught me how to overcome objections. He taught me how to be persistent, resilient. He taught me how to go after and chase what you want.
Yeah.
And that, again, as a child, you're frustrated. You don't know that.
Right.
But again, when you go through life and as you get older, you're going to come across obstacles, and to be able to fight through those and to persevere. If you don't have those ingrained in you as a kid, I think it makes it more difficult as an adult. So that is kind of what sparked the root of my sales background. From there, I actually also had a background in customer service and catering, the food industry. I thrived in, again, being able to talk to anybody, being able to go out and conversate and be a representation of an organization where they're there to have a good time. We worked in this amazing building right in the heart of Oakland, and it was a rotunda building, right? So all the floors were on the outside, and in the middle it was all hollow. You could look up to the ceiling and see a glass dome. And it was absolutely magnificent.
Yeah.
The whole retrofit of the building, which has been standing since like the early 1930s or 40s.
Oh, wow.
It's been around a long time. Was just astonishing. So I'd ask people, just get the customer service out, like, hey, how are you tonight? And let's just say I'm behind the bar, it's a catering event. People are coming in, getting beer and wine, and they're getting started for the evening, whether it's a fundraiser or whatever, it might be a holiday event or something like that. And they, oh, great, how are you? And I'd say, don't tell anybody, but I get paid to party with you. And in that sense, like that's where the kind of customer service came out. Plus, I like to be busy. I believe in a quote that, busy is better than bored. And I say that all the time because as a child, the lesson I learned from my mom is, don't be bored. You can stay busy and be productive in life. So in that regard, I've been busy and I've been bored, and believe me when I tell you, it's a lot better being busy than bored. So with that said, I kind of balanced that out. I did it as a side hustle, being able to kind of up the customer service, put in the grunt work, and be able to persevere through difficult times by supplementing income on the side. So you get done with, let's say, an 8-hour sales day, right? As I'll go into my next career here, you get done with an 8-hour sales day or a 9-hour sales day, doing multiple calls, going all throughout the territory in which you live in, the region you live in, and then 4 o'clock you got to head in for your night shift, and you're there till 2 in the morning. That's where the hustle really kind of comes in, and sure, you have to be a high level customer service when you're speaking with those clients throughout the day, and your game's got to be at the top to be able to provide for yourself and your family, but then to pursue that further and to take that further into the customer service side at nighttime when all the grunt work starts at literally 11:30 at night, when all the tables got to get broken down and all the glassware's got to get taken off. That's where the real pertinacity comes in. Like, I will not be defeated in this. I will not throw in the towel. And I did that for, no joke, I did that for about 17 years.
Where does that drive come from? Like, why were you doing all that? Because most people today, 5 o'clock hits, they're done. They check out.
That's true. Yeah. One thing, I know you're a fan, one thing that I really took from a speech from Gary Vee is how he worked through his 20s. And without knowing who he was back in those 20 years I was in my 20s, I did the same thing. I worked every weekend, countless times, and there's times when people had a barbecue in the middle of summer, and I'm literally putting on a shirt and tie and going into work, an hour away, spending the night and doing that, and then coming back at, again, like I said, 1 or 2 in the morning. Where did that come from? I'd say one is the amount of money that it required to survive and thrive. If you want to, it's one thing to survive, it's another thing to thrive.
Yeah.
But survive and thrive throughout the territory in which I lived in was difficult. Cost of living was going up, and wages weren't necessarily going up at the same rates. But at the same time, supplementing income where I could. So I'm a go-getter. I've always been a team player. I've always been an athlete in the sense of, I'd rather stay busy than bored. And I got to be, if I stepped away from the customer service and the food industry for, let's just say 5 years, I feel like an athlete would. I haven't kept up with my game in that sense. I haven't sharpened my axe in a professional way in that manner.
I love that analogy because a lot of us have played sports, right? And what's very interesting is that same aggression, that same passion, that same drive that you played sports in, you bring it into the business world.
Yeah.
Like I do the same thing.
Oh yeah,
because
absolutely.
I don't know if it's like that want to perform or that being busy or that just getting something accomplished, right? Like, yeah. I think sports is extremely important, and you don't realize what you're learning until you are in the real world, right? Out of sports, but all those little coaches that were chirping at you to get better and to be your best, and I love that. And you can tell already, right? Like you'd want to sit at a bar with this guy. Like you want him to be the guy across from you, like serving you, because he's got a servant heart. And I think that's one thing that really sets the great leaders apart from just a boss, is being willing to have that servant heart, Like Jesus had a servant's heart. He didn't come to be served, he came to serve.
That's right.
Right? And so it blows my mind when you get these people who have made it and they aren't willing to do the little grunt work and stuff. And I'm not talking about leveraging your team and letting them do what they're hired to do, but at the same time, like, don't ever get so high on your horse that you can't be the one shoveling the snow on the sidewalk. You know what I mean?
Completely agree.
But you can totally see that in you, of just like, you still, even talking about those late nights and everything, you smile through that story because you know what characteristics those were just concreting in you to who you are today.
Yeah, absolutely.
It might have, enjoying the suck, right?
You have to.
Like,
you have to. In that sense, if you don't, I mean, you're just going to be miserable in the sense. It's realize that you'll work as hard as you need to today to live differently and how you wish to tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I think that if you have to have that sort of grit. Honestly, I mean, I had a class in college that talked about the importance of grit. And my opening. Oh yeah.
How long ago was this? Because I don't know if that's still around.
No, this was last year.
Really?
This was last year.
What is that fascinates me.
Yeah.
Because that's something you can actually use in
it's
the
so
real
amazing.
world.
Absolutely, grit is real. And
what was the basis of the class?
It's TED Talks.
It was.
It was TED Talks class. Yeah. That class had a topic on grit, and my opening line of my paper was, grit is not something that's taught. You either have it or you don't. Sure, there's lessons that can help instill it, and I think there are ways that people can understand what grit really is. But quite frankly, it is something that people either born with or not. That's my belief. You'll find people, like you said, who check out at 5 p.m. when there's a whole nother shift worth of life before you fall asleep.
That's good. Right there.
Yeah.
People don't see that.
No, they don't.
Most people don't see that. Most people see that they went to work and they got done at 5, and now from 5 to whenever is their time to do what they want, which is true.
It is.
But it's how you use that time.
Correct, absolutely.
You literally that was worth millions just right there.
Thanks, Goose.
Because I don't know if you caught it earlier too, he wasn't complaining about the cost of living. He wasn't complaining about where he lived. He was where he was, and he was doing something about it. He wasn't blaming the environment. He was doing everything that he could to thrive in that environment. So you either have two options. You leave that environment, or you figure out how to thrive in that environment. And I love that because you don't have that victim mentality.
No, definitely not, no.
Because you used your 5, not even your 9 to 5, but you used your 5 to whenever.
2 in the morning,
Yeah.
Multiple weekends. Can't tell you how many events or parties or barbecues or UFC events and the whole 9 yards. Like, I missed so much.
Do you regret that though?
No, I don't.
Yeah.
I don't. The group of people I worked with was amazing.
Yeah.
It was a second family. We all, again, trusted and instilled in each other that each of us would show up on those events, because without the other, you or the next person would be suffering. So no, you don't necessarily, you don't want to let your others down in that regard. So no, I don't regret it. No.
So from the food industry to you sold RVs.
I did, yeah.
Yeah, you sold RVs. You sold HVAC for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
We had a similar story in that. And then where are you at today?
Today I'm the Vice President of Business Development for Keller Williams Realty Boise.
Everything just kind of built up to where you are today.
Yeah, it's an accumulation, yeah.
Yeah.
And yes, thanks to you, my opportunity to move out to Idaho was great and heightened to a level where the reality was there and the feasibility was there too.
Yeah.
When you and I had that conversation back in August of 2017, you had said, like, hey, just so you know, like, one of the things, as you can imagine, when you do make a move, is going to be employment. Have you thought about that? And I was like, well, I'm in sales, blah, 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll never forget what you said. It was great. Well, don't think this is too podunk, but would you sell motorhomes and RVs? And I said, no, man, I've lived in a fifth wheel before. I've literally lived in a fifth wheel. Like, I could definitely do that. Right. And again, that's a whole other story, living in a fifth wheel. But nonetheless, I said, absolutely, I could do that. I get behind it. And clearly, the market is booming here for RVs. This is, if not, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it's the camping capital of the world, is it not?
A few years ago, it was for sure.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is today, but
Yeah.
I don't think you're too far off as far as the volume that comes through here with recreational vehicles.
It's wild, and it's like the camping mecca. So with that opportunity, again, something I've done, something I've literally lived and can speak passionately about, I was like, absolutely, I'd welcome that opportunity. So you had helped with that connection, and I'm forever and always grateful for that. So thank you.
Well, you're welcome. You did do it though.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's the thing about you too, is like when you get advice, you'll apply it.
Yeah.
And so many people are looking for advice, but they're looking for the advice that they want to hear.
True.
And not that might actually help them.
True.
Right? So I commend you for actually utilizing that and taking the opportunity, because that opportunity opened the door to the next one,
Yep.
And it blows my mind of how, I don't remember who said it, but they said the average person dies at 26 and they just wait to be buried.
Wow.
And people just give up on dreams. People they settle.
Yeah.
And I think there's a huge difference between settling and being content, right?
Yeah.
Settling and being present. I think when you settle, that's when you start dying that day. And I think it's super sad.
It is sad, yeah.
But what I love about you and people like you is just your hunger for life and your passion for life.
Oh yeah.
Like, yes, business is all part of that, but I have a feeling like you just wake up and before your feet hit the ground, like you're just smiling automatically.
To go back one step further, with the ability to, get home from your 9 to 5 and then start on, let's just say, schoolwork, because I'm taking some classes right now. You start on schoolwork, get done with that, and then you're plugging into your side business on the side. After that, as the night comes to an end, I mean, if I'm awake now until I was awake till 1:30 in the morning last night, and I welcome that because.
What were you doing?
Schoolwork.
Oh, you weren't watching Netflix?
No, I wasn't watching Netflix, no.
So this guy is literally putting in a full day's worth of work and then doing night school on top of that.
That's correct, yeah.
Yeah, while having a startup tech company.
That just won Boise Startup Week 2020.
Say that again.
Our startup just won Boise Startup Week 2020.
Which is a big deal.
Yeah. So thank you again to TM and everybody at Boise Startup Week.
What's the name of that company?
Chillo.
Yeah.
Chillo is my passion, heart, and dream that I'd love to see help. You mentioned some earlier that I want to really kind of hone in on for a second. My inclination and quite frankly, my fulfillment does come from wanting and being able to help someone else.
Yeah.
And in this regard, I firmly believe, there's not a doubt in my mind, nobody can convince me otherwise, that this service that will be available for anybody around the world eventually will be a tremendous help to prevent a lot of headache later on down the road.
I heard Shaq say it, but I think you heard it from Mark Cuban, or actually maybe it was Jeff Bezos. I think Shaq heard it from Jeff Bezos, now that I think of it. What Shaq said was, as soon as he changed his investing strategy to only investing in what changed people's lives, that's when he quadrupled his money. When he actually was purposeful about what his money went and did, which was
smart
businesses that help change people's lives, which is exactly what you guys are working on.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's why it's so exciting. And that's what's so crazy too. Like when you guys first pitched it to my wife and I, just sharing it with us, we just didn't understand.
Oh, really?
But we just didn't.
That's okay.
But
that's okay.
As you guys, you didn't listen to that, right?
No,
like
no,
you knew what you had, and you were going to grow the baby, right, and develop that baby.
Absolutely.
And you didn't listen to naysayers. We weren't being like super negative, right?
No,
but I'm just saying, but
not
you guys literally knew what you had. You felt it in your heart, and you're like, "This is what we're going to do."
Yeah.
And to see that just bloom to what it already is, and to see where it's even going is super exciting to just watch. Like it really is. It's very, very cool. You guys have done a phenomenal job.
Thank you, Goose. I appreciate that. We're over the moon about it. It's moving fast, and we love it. We absolutely love it. Again, busy's better than bored.
Yeah, we'll do a. But I think you're not just busy though. You're productive.
Yeah, and purposeful.
Yeah. So there's people that, and so I want you to also catch when he's saying that, because I know how you mean it. But he's not just saying like, be busy, like just literally just do something to do something. Like he's being productive when he's being busy rather than getting bored. So I love that.
On that note, there's something I learned within the incredibly high level of training that's available for the company I'm working for now, which is Keller Williams, is what's called E to P. And E to P is from entrepreneurial to purposeful. And when you
like
when you are able to like grasp that concept and constructively implement it into your day, the benefit, the byproduct, and the benefits are astronomical. It's amazing.
I like that.
Yeah, from being E to P is from being entrepreneurial to purposeful.
As we wrap up, what I am very curious to your God story is. So, what is your God money story?
Great, thanks for asking. There's probably one that resonates the most with me, and having the moment to separate yourself from your beliefs, and to take a moment to separate yourself from what's going on, to look at it from a third person, to remove yourself and realize if someone I cared about was in that position, how would I advise them to move forward? And that really did come down to me having to tell myself through a moment where I was experiencing job loss, where a moment I was experiencing the potential of losing my insurance and risking my health, to the point where I felt I wasn't able to provide for my wife and for my little girl. And in that regard, I thought to myself, what would I tell one of my friends who's experiencing that?
Wow.
And that was, go to church and pray.
Wow.
So I went to church that evening over at Eagle, and I stepped in, and it was like 3 people in the church. It was a small little ceremony going on, and I sat in the back, and I thought to myself, okay, well, I'm going to trust in God to lead me through this difficult time, to be able to put me in a position to recognize what I'm worth and what I can bring to my family and to those I care about. And I prayed for direction. I prayed for what I know my capability is, to be able to be fulfilled within a time frame that is short enough that I still see that light, and don't lose hope, and don't lose vision of that light. And lo and behold, I kid you not, this was in the evening of probably a Thursday night, and the following Monday I got a call back for one of my resumes that I had put out after losing a position before, and that trajectory has now led me to the position I'm in now.
That's so cool. I love that. So suddenlies are very interesting in the Bible, right? Like they're always followed up by when somebody did something that showed obedience. Suddenly, something happened. Like that's an awesome story.
Yeah, that's my suddenly story, and that is the God's truth right there. When you sit back and you reflect on it, like, wow. You sit back and wow.
Yeah.
Wow. You know, and just to have that prayer answered was so fulfilling.
And it just grew your belief, and it takes you back to just being gratitude from a little young Stephen, right?
Yeah.
Like just thank you, Dad.
Now,
thank you, Dad.
And in that regard, when that all came to fruition, it was thank you, God.
Yeah. I hope you enjoyed this. Again, if you got anything from this, please comment below, like, subscribe. We're gonna do this again.
I appreciate it.
I want to get deeper on Chillo. We're gonna have his wife on the show also to get her perspective as well, and then we're gonna do a duo with the both of them. But thank you so much for being here, man. I really appreciate the time. Have a great stinking day. Thank you for watching.
Thank you. Hi there, Stephen Rankin checking in. Just letting you know, I just wrapped up an interview with Goose Sussi on God Money episode 4. I just want to take a quick minute to let everybody know the importance of gratitude and how you can look into what the events have happened in your life and realize that, sure, it can seem like a struggle at that time, but how you can use that to fuel you to reach the levels of success in any aspect of your life, as long as you can find and discover that silver lining. So look deep, recognize, reflect, and of course, and be grateful.